Hey guys, it's Pig here. Hey guys, it's Pig. We're going to talk about the balance changes. A community update came out just yesterday, and I'm going to do yet another first impressions video. I've read the changes this time, so this isn't the first time reading them. I've had a little bit of time to digest, but I don't have any concrete, I've thought through every possible scenario. So disclaimer, as always, StarCraft 2 is a complex game, and I'm sure you guys are going to be like, hey, you forgot about this point. A lot of the time people look at me, I think, as a voice of authority in the StarCraft scene, and they get really angry when I say things they don't agree with. Remember that I don't balance the game. You can't. So number one, this is always the disclaimer at these videos. Don't blame me if you're pissed off about a change, number one. Number two, if I don't touch on a point which you think is important, include it, discuss it in the comments, discuss it in chat. I like to discuss it with you guys who are watching live right now as I talk about it, and we get to have a bit of discussion. And you guys always, without fail, bring up a lot of points I don't even think about at first, and it creates a lot of stimulating discussion. StarCraft's a complex game. So yeah, basically just don't froth at the mouth. Let's have a discussion about it. So guys, this update is basically Terran is getting a bunch of buffs. First of all, Raven's anti-armor missile base damage reduced from 30 to 15. Okay, that's not a buff. That's a big nerf. Basically, the anti-armor missile was being spammed out a ton in late game, being used to destroy huge clumps of air units, as well as Hydras, Infestors, anything like that. Sometimes even Swarm Hosts, which are quite a tanky unit. The problem with the missile is it launches incredibly quickly. It has a great range, great acceleration. It's almost impossible to dodge in a lot of situations. Especially if you're using something like Broodlords and they kind of naturally all clump up. Same with carriers, they're too slow to spread. You're just going to take a ton of damage. By dropping that damage to half, you're going to need so many Ravens to use this spell a lot. It really will make it ineffective. Outside of, I think a Villa will still get some effect out of it. If you're going to sit there with Planetary Fortresses and really drag a game out, it'll still get some efficiency, but basically it takes that anti-armor spell utility and it puts it back to being an armor modifier, a buff in mid-game engagements more than anything, rather than a big late-game kind of massable spell. Now, thankfully, if we scroll down, there is another Raven change, which is Raven's auto turret cast range increased from 1 to 2. So they want to make the auto turret a little bit more harassable. With cast range 1, you literally had to fly into a mineral iron, into range of stalkers or spores, to drop an auto turret and then fly away, and your Raven would already be on half-life. And it was just kind of shitty for harassment. So putting down just 1 extra cast range there, it's not the 3 range that the auto turret used to have, but it does give that a little bit more utility. I'm still a big proponent of, hey, if we're getting rid of the anti-armor missile, can we bring back Repair Drone? Why don't we make the Raven a very much kind of wide utility-focused spellcaster, right? It doesn't have any big game-changing spells anymore. So let's give it the Repair Drone as a 4th spell. I think there's no reason not to do that. Repair Drone is this great long-term efficiency thing in drawn-out games. It heals up a ton of hit points on your units because it lasts so long and it's very energy efficient. The thing is, it doesn't heal very quickly, so it's not a battle game changer. They're pretty useless within a fight. But over a drawn-out game, healing up mech armies in between fights, they can be really effective and resource efficient. So I think Repair Drone would still be really cool. I'd love them to bring that back. Now, below that, they've gone and made the Viking health 125 to 135. Basically, the Viking just dies to Psi Storm and Parasitic Bomb. They've said, look, especially area effect abilities like that kill them. So, look, it's going to make Terran a bit stronger against Colossi as well, giving those 10 hit points. It's not crazy. They're saying, look, we know this doesn't fully offset the anti-armor missile nerf in the extreme late game, but we'd like to focus more on Terran's mid-game power, and then that's obviously going to help them scale into the late game on a better footing, rather than at the moment we've got Terran kind of just fucking try and survive, get out my Ravens and Ghosts, and then, oh shit, I'm in a good spot if I survive to the extreme late game. Instead, they want Terran to go back to that mid-game focus, and that brings us down to the next changes. And these are the really friggin' good ones, guys. Marauder, number of attacks reduced from 2 to 1. Hot damn. So the Marauder, let me know if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was the beginning of Legacy of the Void. Some point in the beta, they basically said, look, the Marauder now has 2 attacks rather than 1. The way that works, guys, is basically 2 attacks means your armor modifiers affect it twice. Ooh, which is big. So even if you're just hitting a Roach, a 1 armor unit, it's effectively knocking 2 damage off your attack rather than 1 in Heart of the Swarm or Wings of Liberty. So okay, even with basic unit interactions, it would knock off 1 damage. Not the most absolutely game-ending change, but it was especially big with high armored units or if you were out upgraded. So, biggest scenario, of course, is Ultralisks. Normally you'd have 2 10 damage attacks. And say you'd have a few upgrades, say you're +3. So it's 2 16 damage attacks with a +3 anti-armored, a +3 attack more. I think something like, I think it was 16? I think it was +2 per attack, or maybe +1. Either way, basically, what happened is the Ultralisk would have 8 armor fully upgraded, or 7. I think it's 7 now at full upgrades. And you'd knock that off the thing twice. So it'd be like, rather than 2 13 damage attacks, you'd have 2 8 damage attacks. You'd do 16 damage of volley. Yeah, it's not +2, it's +1. Essentially, you'd knock off about half of the fucking damage of the actual unit, slightly more than half of the Marauder because of that. So by consolidating this back into a single attack, rather than doing 16 damage per attack, so that's obviously, 16 damage for each shot, it's going to be 26 minus 7, which is 19. That's quite a big change. So it's definitely a big effect, guys. I'm probably doing the maths wrong. Fuck the numbers. Long story short, I'm going to stop trying to do maths in videos and streams. I'm fucking fail. You guys are already solving it in the Twitch chat and the YouTube comments. I'm just going to stop talking. You guys, if you can look up the fucking stats on Wikipedia if you want, all right? I'm not an expert, just a guy who says fucking words. So anyway, it's going to make the Marauder way better versus Ultras, but also against Protoss. This is really big because a lot of the time Protoss with Chrono Boost and just with the way their builds have been working have been getting +2 armor on Zealots or Adepts, and Marauders just do nothing. Not nothing, but basically you've got like double fucking bloody armor modifiers hitting you. If you're on equal upgrades, your upgrades cancel out the armor upgrades, and it's like, it's all fine, right? But as it was, you were just getting totally destroyed. Your Marauders just could not get through the Zealots and Adepts very easily. So it was really tough in the mid game for Terran to stay on par with Protoss. So by changing this, it's really going to beef up Terran mid game in all matchups. I think the worry is that it'll be too powerful for a lot of players out there. I personally am going to say, as someone who plays all 3 races, I'm looking forward to this change, and I say 100% players struggle and players rage. Okay, there's going to be a lot of rage, a lot of struggle from Zergs and Protoss saying, this is too strong, it's bullshit. Realistically, I don't think it is going to totally break the game. I think the biggest thing that's affected is obviously Protoss, mid-game against Terran. It's going to be a little bit harder, and the Ultralisks aren't going to be such a lifesaver in Zerg versus Terran, which with some people's playstyle, that's such a big part of their play. That's really going to, make them struggle. People might, be using Infestors a little bit more, relying on Fungal or something, relying more on counterattacks, maybe going back to Mutilating Bane. We'll see exactly how it plays out, but I guarantee you there's going to be an adjustment period where Zergs and Protoss are filling up the fucking ocean of tears. We're going to have the Dead Sea of wine. Everybody's going to be crying about it being overpowered. This is my prediction. I think it's going to be fine. That's my feeling. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. Maybe it is a little bit too much of a buff. We're just going to have to watch and find out. I think the fact that the Raven isn't this ultimate late game unit anymore is amazing. The fact that Marauder's getting a little bit stronger is amazing. The Vikings getting a little bit stronger is really nice. I think overall, direction-wise, I love the direction. How it's going to work out, we will see, guys. We will see. So when this patch actually comes out, and I'm not sure if it's on the balance mod yet, obviously I'll be playing a ton of games on the new maps. Keep an eye on my YouTube as well as my stream. I'm going to be meeting up with other streamers. We'll be testing it out. I'll be doing a lot of just mass bio plays against Protoss and against Zerg, and just seeing if I can overwhelm with Marauders and Marines and stuff, just to really like accentuate like how powerful that is and see, is it really strong? Am I still getting dicked? And it's going to be, a big adjustment period before people figure it out. So guys, this is going to be a really exciting patch. Definitely, I think Terran players have been struggling for a while. And even though Maru's been winning things, he's been a big outlier, right? The other Terrans have been really struggling. So I think it's really cool to see this series of changes. And if Terran is a little bit too strong, I always go back to the same thing. I think there's always going to be 1,000 ways to kill them. And to win a game of StarCraft. And I think the Balance team has shown in the last year or 2 years, they are so on top of what's happening in the community, what's happening on ladder for both your average player in Gold or Platinum League, as well as for pros. And they are trying to not just work on balancing the game for the top, but they have been trying to fix problematic design issues. No one liked dying to mass anti-armor missile. Everyone was very unhappy. That's why they've, made this change. And I think if it does prove too powerful, they will get on top of it. So this patch is going to come out on the 15th of May, I believe, guys. So just under a week from now, next week's patch. It's going to be really exciting to see how it plays out. And good luck, have fun. Hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, in the chat. Some people are saying, you know what, I'm a Terran player and I think Marauders will be too strong. U-Triple is saying. Some people are saying we should just knock 10 hit points off the Marauder to accommodate for this, knock them from like 125 down to 110 or something like that. A lot of people have their own ideas and suggestions. I think it's really fun to talk about. So share your ideas, guys, and we'll see where it goes. Thank you very much for watching. Catch you guys next time. Okay, cool. I kind of dragged that one on longer than it needed to be. That could